tonight.
Regular things like cauliflower and broccoli have just increased so much.
Concerned about how inflation is affecting your wallet? A new survey in Saskatchewan shows you're not alone. Also, more than 700 CN rail workers are threatening to walk off the job tomorrow. Plus, what is going on with the weather? If you think it's weird now, it's going to get stranger. A triple dip La Nina is on the way.
This is CBC Saskatchewan News.
Let the sunny beach days begin. It is Friday, June 17th, and the CBC Saskatchewan News starts right now. Good evening, and thanks for joining us. From gas to groceries, the price of just about everything is going up. A new survey has found that many Saskatchewan residents are feeling the price pinch. Yasmin Correa has the details.
Saskatoon mom Tommy Gale worries about getting healthy food for her family as prices soar.
Regular things like cauliflower and broccoli have just increased so much. And it's been hard to find them and get them at a good price.
Many Saskatchewan residents are feeling the price pinch at the grocery store and at the pumps.
I am working a 9-to-5 job, but it's hard to keep up.
19-year-old Jesse Bolton's grocery bills have doubled. Some families are making lifestyle changes to save money.
Me and my daughter and my kids, we walk around a lot more, that's for sure.
A new survey from the Canadian Hub for Applied and Social Research at the University of Saskatchewan found that about 7 in 10 respondents are worried about their household's ability to pay for everything they need in the next 6 months. The top ways people are coping with increasing costs are by cutting back on leisure activities and hobbies, changing vacation plans, and changing transportation habits. The survey was conducted in the field between June 1st and June 10th and surveyed 400 people. It found that the increased cost of living appears to be disproportionately affecting people aged 18 to 34.
59% of those 18 to 34 indicated they got another job, compared to only 5% of those 55 plus, or even 9% of those 35 to 54 years old.
Other ways survey respondents say they're coping with inflation is by holding off on paying bills on time and selling personal possessions. Premier Scott Moe has hinted at giving residents a possible consumer rebate as the high cost of living shows no signs of letting up. Yasmin Ranea, CBC News, Saskatoon.
CBC News has learned that 170 Ebraz steel mill workers in Regina have been laid off since May, and more cuts are expected. A senior VP with the company confirmed the layoffs, blaming the company idling its large diameter pipe fabrication work. The large pipes are tied to projects such as the Trans-Canada Pipeline. We're told between 50 to 75 people, more people rather, will likely be laid off as well. Some others have been transitioned into the company's other operations in Regina and Calgary. The official says other parts of Ebraz operations are doing fine. The official opposition says before the school year ends next week, the provincial government has a final assignment to complete. The NDP's education critic says the government needs to commit $50 million in emergency funding to divisions facing budgetary pressures. Matt Love held a news conference outside Saskatoon's Aidan Bowman Collegiate this morning. The NDP want the government to help divisions avoid cuts to both jobs and programs. Some school divisions have added fees for parents to cover lunchroom supervision starting next fall. Love says inflation has only increased the financial burden on divisions. He wants the government to act now.
There's still a little time left in the school year for Minister Duncan to submit some quality work to get back to a passing grade. So I'm calling on Minister Duncan and Premier Moe to commit to an emergency funding package for Saskatchewan schools in the amount of $50 million. This amount will help to ensure that our schools can at the very least avoid cutting the positions for those caring professionals that we need in our classrooms to serve our kids.
Last week, Premier Scott Moe said school divisions should avoid adding fees to parents and instead spend reserves if they have them. The head of the Saskatchewan School Boards Association says using reserves not an option for many divisions, and that government underfunding over the last few years already forced divisions to use some of those funds. Assembly of First Nations National Chief Roseanne Archibald has been accused by some staff members of bullying and harassment and is facing calls to step down. But Archibald maintains she's the victim of a smear campaign because she wants to root out what she alleges is corruption within the AFN. Olivia Stefanovic has more.
The glass ceiling has been broken.
Roseanne Archibald made history, becoming the first woman elected to lead the Assembly of First Nations.
And we will not be silenced.
Less than a year into her mandate, she's in an unprecedented situation yet again.
She's got that energy to be a good leader, but at the same time, she uses it in the wrong way. She's a bully.
Archibald is under an external AFN investigation, facing bullying and harassment allegations from 4 of her own staff.
I support an investigation if it's come to that, if only to clear the air, and so that the organization can get away from internal issues.
The complaints were filed through the AFN's new whistleblower policy. It was created over the past year following a previous bullying and harassment investigation into Archibald's behavior as Ontario Regional Chief.
You know, one person can't please 600 plus chiefs. But if there's rumblings, it is a responsibility of the national chief to meet directly with the chiefs.
Archibald released a statement welcoming the investigation. She calls the accusations against her the second time she's endured a smear campaign as a result of her relentless pursuit of the truth. Archibald says she's facing backlash for trying to bring more transparency into the AFN. Now she's calling for a forensic audit and independent inquiry into the organization's conduct over the last 8 years.
We're a boat with no paddle, no rudder, and we're going to be flying off the Niagara Falls here pretty quick if we continue with her being the leader of the Assembly of First Nations.
Some chiefs are calling for Archibald's removal, since she did not obtain 60% of votes cast when she was acclaimed. The Chiefs of Ontario passed a resolution yesterday validating Archibald's election results. Now it will be up to the rest of the chiefs across the country to decide how to move forward when they meet for their General Assembly in Vancouver next month. Olivia Stefanovic, CBC News, Ottawa.
And there's been a development on this story just moments ago. The AFN Executive Committee and National Board of Directors have voted to suspend Roseanne Archibald effective immediately. We'll have more details on the National later tonight. More than 700 Canadian National Rail workers are threatening to walk off the job tomorrow. The company received 72-hour strike notice from the union that represents 750 employees earlier in the week. Union members are signal and communication employees for CN. Wage and benefits are the main sticking points in the dispute. CN says it's willing to go to binding arbitration to resolve the issues. The company says if it can't make a deal with the union, it believes it can continue normal operations through a strike. The Saskatchewan government is preparing for an evacuation flight full of people fleeing the Ukraine war. It will come around July 4th and fly from Warsaw to Regina. Minister Jeremy Harrison says about 230 evacuees are expected.
We've set up a 24/7 helpline for newly arrived Ukrainian refugees. We're engaging with our business community to make sure that those who wish to enter the labor market immediately are able to do so and have all of the tools to be able to do so. We have supports that are going to be set up at that airport right away, including things like helping set up bank accounts for new arrivals.
Harrison says transportation to other communities, including Saskatoon, will be provided. Free hotel accommodations, as well as short and medium-term housing solutions and income support will be available. Harrison says the province has opened its door for unlimited Ukrainians, and so far, 600 of them have come to Saskatchewan since February 24th. The Saskatchewan Roughriders left for Edmonton today. They'll face the Elks tomorrow night. Receiver Duke Williams did not make the trip. He turned an ankle in practice this week and was declared unfit to play. The Riders are coming off an impressive defensive performance in their season-opening victory over Hamilton. 7 different players contributed to their team sack total of 8. Now they face a team that gave up 59 points in their first game. Still, safety Mike Edom says the Elks have enough talent on offense. They have to be respected.
You know, they got that big back, Wilder. He's going to be, the flavor of the day, game day. And then they got some good receivers, too. They got a $300,000 man in Kenny Lawler. So, they're going to feed him. Manny still got it. He stayed in football even though he wasn't in the CFL, so he can still play. D-Walk is D-Walk. A few years ago, he was a high-speed receiver, so obviously he can still play. They still pose a challenge as a team. We can't let, because of the score of the last game against BC, influence our thought process and go out there, and stink it up.
Edmonton. Kickoff between the Riders and Elks is tomorrow night at 7:30. With barbecue season well underway, you may have noticed a few extra pests in your backyard. Wasps are back in full force. The city of Regina says they are, in fact, more of them this year. Wasps are attracted to sugary drinks and any food they can get their hands on, so you might want to throw those out and clean up spills as they happen. The city says a lot more wasps survived the winter and they are looking to establish a nest.
Anecdotally, I think it's a little bit above what we would normally see or what we're used to. It doesn't mean a lot today. It probably is going to mean a lot more towards the end of August and September, when we're going to be seeing a lot more aggressive wasps at that point in time.
IRIC says locating and removing nests before they get big will also help keep wasps away.
I came from downstairs and my picture window was wide open, and I just seen the face, of it looking in, and then it's a moose.
Murray Newman and his neighbors in the Churchill Downs neighborhood in North Regina got quite the surprise this morning. This moose was out for a casual trot in the area. A conservation officer was called out and he safely tranquilized the animal. While the animal was having a nap, it was carefully moved into a truck with a conveyor belt and out of the area. Stay with us. We'll be back after the break. A rare weather formation is heading our way. It's called a triple dip La Nina, and it could pack a powerful punch here on the prairies. Meteorologist and climate change reporter Christy Kleiman-Hege explains.
It may officially be meteorological summer, but it's been a slow start. We had a cold winter across much of the prairies and a cooler spring thanks in part to La Nina. La Nina happens when the surface in the eastern Pacific Ocean runs colder, the opposite of El Nino, which is the warmer side. The change may be small, maybe only half a degree, but it has big impacts on weather patterns around the world. And this year could be a notable one, with a chance of a third consecutive winter of La Nina conditions.
We have 70% chances, so it's high chances for La Nina to happen in the next month. But it will continue up to the end of the year with less odd. But again, they say 50 to 60, which is quite high. It's more than half.
They call it a triple dip La Nina, and though it's happened before, it is uncommon.
It's rare, yeah. So if this happens this coming winter, that would be only the third since 1950. Yeah, it's a rare phenomenon.
La Nina packs more of a punch in the winter months for Canada. It generally means colder conditions in the Canadian prairies and wet weather on the west coast, and it can really deliver. The winter of 2010 to 2011 was marked by a particularly powerful La Nina. The Mount Washington Alpine Resort on Vancouver Island saw over 500 centimeters of snow by late December. Edmonton saw close to twice its normal snow between October and March, and in Saskatchewan, the thick snowpack caused flooding in the following spring. The big question that remains is, how is climate change impacting our La Ninas and El Ninos? And that relationship is a little complicated. What we do know is by mid-century we will likely see changes in our extreme precipitation and also perhaps changes in that time between El Nino and La Nina.
The average date is projected to become more like El Nino. There's no consensus between climate models on whether the variability is going to change.
So what does all of this mean for our summer in Alberta and Saskatchewan? Well, we will likely see close to normal temperatures and precipitation this summer across the prairies, but if La Nina holds into the winter, it could be another cold one. Christy Kleiman-Hege, CBC News, Edmonton.
This weather update is brought to you by Capital Ford Lincoln. The exclusive export event is back.
And Ethan Williams joins me now with a look at your forecast. The forecast brought to you by the letter P for ponytail, because the wind is out of control.
Yes, I see your letter P and I raise you a letter H for hairspray. Wonderful thing. Great invention. You know, it's been a lot of rain these last few days, very warm, and we're probably going to see a few more of these guys Mosquitoes are probably going to pick up next week, given all of this hot weather. But right now, we're actually below where we were last year. We had a very busy year for mosquitoes in Regina last year. Saskatoon, latest data is from June 4th, but we are well below the 10-year average there. Pollen conditions, though, keep in mind for allergy sufferers, moderate pollen levels in Regina, Saskatoon, and Prince Albert this weekend. It comes mostly from grass pollen in Regina and Saskatoon, but in Prince Albert and more of the treed areas there, you're looking at pine, fir, and spruce pollen. And it is going to be very warm. Excessive heat warnings now in effect through much of south and central Saskatchewan, not for Regina and Saskatoon, but that doesn't mean that we won't see some potentially record-breaking heat as we get into tomorrow. And this will be the warmest stretch of weather that we've had, or warmest weather since September of last year when we had a couple of days in the low to mid 30-degree range. Probably not going to be very good for our fire situation. Extreme risk in the southern part of the province. And this is today's fire risk, but really not changing much until we get into tomorrow. In terms of showers and thunderstorms, we could see some severe storms in the southwestern portion of the province tonight, but the rain mostly going to fall in the north of the province. 2 bands tomorrow. We're watching one move in tomorrow morning and then a second one move in tomorrow late day into early Sunday morning, and that'll be the heavier band. We could see some other showers and thunderstorms along the western half of the province tomorrow evening, and then our next best chance of rain in the south will come Sunday into Monday. And in the north through the weekend and into Monday, I think the 40 millimeters in La Loche might be a little bit heavy, but a good maybe 10 to 20 millimeters in a lot of locations, especially the far northwest. And Sunday, Monday in the south and central part of the province, some heavier amounts in the southwest here. And keep in mind that these could be from thunderstorms, but places where we really need it, Regina, Saskatoon, Yorkton, really going to pass us by once again. Wind's not going to die down too much overnight tonight. They'll gust again tomorrow, which could bring some relief for the heat, gusting between 40 and 50 kilometers an hour. And then as we get to the supper hour Sunday for Father's Day, it looks like winds will pull back a little bit, which is good. Now, our thunderstorm risk tomorrow is, again, mainly on that western side of the province, and we're looking for wind gusts up to 100 kilometers an hour with severe cells, some sizable hail, and some probably heavy downpours as well. Next 7 days in Regina, again, a very warm day tomorrow. Hot, even, you could say, and very windy as well. Father's Day, we will see some clearing. Nice day in Regina. The showers and thunderstorms possible on Monday, and then a gradual warm-up and drying out as we welcome summer. Saskatoon, bright sunshine tomorrow. Again, very hot, very sticky. Possibility of some showers in the morning on Sunday, but should clear out for Father's Day, and then some more rain as we start the week and summer arrives on Tuesday. And Sam, the dads of Saskatchewan and I have held a conference call. They've demanded that the weather be good, and I will deliver as best I can.
I noticed you did drop the steamy forecast.
I did. They requested that as well.
Thanks, Ethan.
You're welcome.
Stay with us. We have more news after the break. The federal government tabled a bill today about extreme intoxication. It's in response to a Supreme Court ruling last month. The court ruled that it violates principles of fundamental justice to convict someone for how they behave when extremely intoxicated. The Justice Minister explained the proposed law, Bill C-28.
It amends the criminal code so that an individual would be held responsible for the violence they commit while in a state of extreme intoxication if they ended up in that state through their own criminal negligence. Being drunk or high is not a defense for committing criminal acts like sexual assault. That was the law before the Supreme Court decisions, and that remains the law today. And all Canadians need to understand that clearly.
There was an outcry, especially online, when the Supreme Court ruled in May, but the court said the defense of extreme intoxication is available only in the rarest of circumstances. It's been a tough couple of years for local businesses who've struggled to make it through the pandemic. Some have had to get creative to survive and recover. And now, in this age of social media, many are learning that being Instagrammable could help them get ahead. Gabriela Panza-Beltrandi has more on that growing trend.
Eco Cafe opened in January. It's a typical cafe, but they started seeing more customers thanks to this wall's popularity online.
Had a very busy month when someone put on TikTok and people were coming to see us and to try our donuts and coffee.
Nowadays, having an interesting Instagrammable space isn't just a quirk for business, but necessary marketing. Take La Vie Academy, a medical esthetician training school. They chose a location at Manchester Square because it's a pretty backdrop for photos and TikToks.
We're aiming to, number one, have a really aesthetically pleasing location. We're aiming to have fun content, whether it's on TikTok or Instagram, to be able to kind of reach our ideal market, right? Definitely Instagram and TikTok right now are our number one things that we're thinking about every time we're doing some sort of business planning.
The Academy's right. Their location is a popular photo spot. For consumers, they use things like Instagram to decide where to go.
Sometimes I even just open Instagram and just like search the hashtag like Yeg Eats or something, and to be like, oh, what's the new place that like I haven't been to or I haven't heard about.
Even places like Kingsway Mall are taking advantage of empty spaces, turning them into photo opportunities. They bring people in and keep them coming back for that perfect selfie. Experts say nowadays being Instagrammable is just smart business.
It's a whole marketing platform, and especially as you look at, the younger demographics, they're wanting to connect in an organic and an authentic way. And Instagram is a huge part of that. And spaces and physical places are having to keep in mind that they have to be Instagrammable to be successful.
A picture used to be worth 1,000 words. Now it's worth so much more. The reach of a single selfie can be better marketing these days than a billboard. Gabriella Panzabal-Trandy, CBC News, Edmonton.
And Ethan is back with one last look at tonight's weather.
And after we get through the threat of showers and thunderstorms tonight, we wake up in Regina at 8 a.m. to a very warm 22 degrees. Pretty windy, though, under mainly sunny conditions. Wind continues into the afternoon. We'll see some cloud cover build in, almost at 30 degrees. For Father's Day Sunday in Regina, we are looking at not bad conditions. 26 at 6 o'clock around supper time. Wind's going to be dying down a bit, and some sun and cloud. In Saskatoon tomorrow morning, 21 degrees. Nice bright sunshine, still very gusty winds. And as we get to noon, we do hit 30 degrees. Southeast winds gusting to around 45. And in Saskatoon, after some morning showers and some wind, we are looking at things dying down. 24, sun and cloud, not a bad weekend at all for Dad Sam.
All right. Thanks, Ethan.
You're welcome.
And before we leave you, some happy news for basketball lovers. There are officially 3 new outdoor courts open in Regina, one at the Mama Wayataton Centre at Scott Collegiate and 2 at Regent Park in North Central.
We welcome her into our celebration. Welcome, Reverend Entry.
As you can see, today's grand opening at the Mama Wayataton Centre was pretty special. There was dancing and a powwow, a barbecue, lots of fun games, and some friendly competitions. This is a Buckets and Borders project, and it will be called The Den. The nonprofit restores basketball courts with community support. This one is particularly significant for students at Scott Collegiate.
The kids played such an integral role and really led this project from the design component. They designed and chose all the colors on the courts, the symbols, the words, and helped with the painting components. And really, Buckets and Borders just played a small role with this project, and the students really led it, which has been an incredible experience for us to work alongside so many talented young students.
The project is also in alignment with the Truth and Reconciliation Commission's calls to action, calling for sports programs and initiatives inclusive to Indigenous people. And that's it for us this week. For news anytime, you can head to cbc.ca/sask or subscribe to the CBC Saskatchewan YouTube channel. Glenn Reed will be back with more local news at 11. Thank you for watching and have a great Father's Day weekend.